The old Harrington House had always been the subject of whispers and wary glances in Maplewood. It stood at the end of Miller Lane, a crumbling Victorian mansion with sagging porches, broken windows, and a dark reputation that had persisted for decades. Some said it was cursed, others insisted it was haunted. But nobody dared go near, except for Lucas. Lucas was a typical teenager, curious, daring, and skeptical of the supernatural. His friends had always warned him to stay away from the Harrington House, but that only fueled his curiosity. He wanted to see for himself if the stories were true, if the house really was haunted by spirits trapped in eternal unrest. One chilly October evening, with a flashlight in hand and his backpack loaded with snacks and a camera, Lucas decided to trespass. He felt a thrill surge through him as he slipped through the rusted gates, the air thick with the scent of decay. The house loomed above him, its shadowy silhouette against the darkening sky. Inside, the air was thick and still. His footsteps echoed as he moved through the grand foyer, where a grand staircase spiraled upward into darkness. Wallpaper peeled like decayed flesh, and the floorboards groaned beneath his weight. He aimed his flashlight at the walls, revealing old portraits whose eyes seemed to follow him. "Nothing but old junk," Lucas whispered confidently, trying to suppress a nervous flutter in his stomach. He headed upstairs, the creaking stairways protesting beneath him. On the second floor, he found a long corridor lined with bedrooms. He chose one that looked decent enough to explore, the master bedroom. The room was frozen in time, with a dusty bed, a broken mirror, and a bureau full of tarnished jewelry. He turned on his camera, recording his surroundings. Suddenly, he heard a faint whisper, indistinct, almost like a breath carried in the wind. Lucas froze, holding his breath, straining to hear. The whispering grew louder, clearer, an agonized plea. His skin prickled. Terror prickled his spine. He turned toward the mirror on the bureau, but the reflection was wrong. In the mirror, he saw a faint figure behind him, a woman in a tattered white dress, her face gaunt and eyes hollow, staring directly at him with a mournful expression. Lucas spun around, but the room was empty. His pulse hammered in his ears. For a moment, he wondered if he was imagining things. He snapped a picture of the mirror, hoping to capture whatever he had seen. As he lowered the camera, a cold breeze brushed past him, though all the windows were sealed tight. The cry of a child echoed softly from somewhere downstairs, a trembling wail that churned his stomach. His pulse quickened. He realized he might have awakened something. Deciding to leave, Lucas hurried down the hall. But the staircase was no longer the same. The wood beneath his feet creaked ominously, and the air grew colder with each step. Shadows stretched and shifted, forming shapes that twisted and morphed before his eyes. Reaching the first floor, he noticed the front door was gone, replaced by a thick wall of fog that spilled inward like a living thing. He backed away, panic rising. His flashlight flickered and died, plunging him into darkness. In the pitch black, he could hear whispers, sobs, shuffling footsteps echoing all around. "Let me out," a voice hissed, near his ear. He whipped around, but saw only darkness and the faint glow of something moving. Suddenly, a hand grasped his wrist, cold, clammy, insubstantial. He screamed, trying to pull away, but it held fast. The apparition of the woman from the mirror appeared before him again, her face distorted with sorrow. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered, voice like the rustling of dead leaves. "This house keeps its secrets. Once you enter, they never let you go." Desperately, Lucas tore free, stumbling toward the front door. With a mighty shove, he forced his way through the fog, emerging outside into the cold night. The house loomed behind him, silent now, as if nothing had happened. He didn't look back until he reached his yard, trembling and shaken. When he finally turned, the Harrington House stood silent, dark, and unassuming, except for a faint shimmer on one of the broken windows, where a shadow flickered briefly before vanishing. Later, in the safety of his room, Lucas reviewed the photos on his camera. An anomaly appeared in the mirror shot, a distortion that looked like a hand reaching out from behind the glass. He couldn't explain it, but he knew one thing for sure. The house was a trap, a prison for spirits that weren't finished with their stories. From that night on, Lucas avoided Miller Lane. The Harrington House remained, waiting patiently for the next unwary visitor, its secrets buried deep within its decaying walls. And sometimes, late at night, if you listened closely, you could almost hear the faint whispers and crying from within, reminding everyone that some ghosts never rest.